Welcome to Lessons in Overthinking and Obsessing. Today I'm talking to those of you who feel overwhelmed by work, stressed and constantly worried. Maybe it's the Sunday scaries, that sinking feeling on Sunday evening when you think about the emails or the to-do lists, the deadlines, the things that you need to get done this week. Maybe it's questioning your status at work and feeling like everyone else is more confident than you, or they're getting more opportunities than you. Maybe it's lying awake at night, you're rehearsing every meeting, imagining every possible mistake, fearing being late tomorrow. And I do want to say that if you do find yourself worrying a lot about work, you're really not on your own. You're really not. I work with many people that are struggling with the stress at work, the deadlines, the feedbacks, the meetings, and even the thought of falling behind can feel overwhelming. You're keeping endless lists. You are working overtime or finding yourself procrastinating. That happens a lot as well. But what if the reason that your mind really never seems to rest isn't just about the tasks themselves? According to psychologist Melanie Fennell, a lot of my work is based on the work that this person has done. Much of our persistent work-related anxiety is linked to our core wounds, our deep-seated beliefs about ourselves that go back to childhood, our early life experiences. And those of you within this community, and if you are brand new here, welcome to this community. You will know that one of the things that I am so passionate about is us reclaiming our lives as the adult we are today, as the person that we are today, with the dreams and the visions that we have, of claiming that as our own and overcoming our past experiences that we've been through, whether that's from childhood, later teens, early adulthood, and deciding who we want to be today. And I'm so passionate about us reclaiming our lives. And the reality is that these core wounds, these old pains, they determine how we see ourselves, the world, other people, including our colleagues and our boss. And we spend so much of our time at work. Of course, this is a space that can activate our wounds. Our inner child really wakes up, and it's really a place where maybe we don't give enough attention to the fact that at work, we really need to reparent ourselves. The beliefs that we hold unconsciously about ourselves are the messages that we absorbed so long ago without even realizing it. That I'm not good enough, that I must never make mistakes, I must always perform perfectly, I need to earn people's approval to be valued. I only feel good enough when I have the validation of my boss or my colleagues, or that I'm doing better than my colleagues. These beliefs are usually unconscious, like I said, but they influence how we respond to challenges, including our working life. Now, work is a particularly fertile ground for activating these wounds. A critical comment from a colleague triggers feelings of inadequacy from childhood. A high pressure or tight deadline awakens fears of failure. And how did this come about? It's not always, but in many times in my work, we can trace it back to our early years, like I said. Maybe there were rules and high standards around you academically and what you were expected to achieve, your learning. Maybe you had strict parents or strict schools that put so much pressure on you. And today at work, even small, everyday challenges can feel amplified if things aren't easy, or they're not perfect, or they expose you in some way to not being as good as you believe you should be. Not even because the situation you're in is particularly disastrous, it's often not. But like I say, and this is what this episode is about, it is revealing the fact that it is more about old unresolved patterns. One of the ways that I know I'm dealing with someone's inner child and past wounds, and we might do some inner child work in therapy, one of the ways is that the reaction will feel extreme. You will know this isn't a situation that warrants this kind of reaction or this kind of sleepless night or impacting how I'm functioning and how exhausted I am. When a core wound is activated, worry becomes more than just thinking about what needs to be done. It becomes a way to really cope with your fear. You worry about how to fix it. We want to know how to get out of it. We try to prevent things from going wrong. And like I say, the intensity of that anxiety, if it doesn't match the situation, it often reflects the strength of the underlying belief that is going on for you in this situation. And some of you will know, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I can apply this to more than just work. Absolutely. The work task is simply the trigger. The big reaction comes from something much older and something more personal and deeper to you. Recognizing that, it changes how we understand our anxiety and our reaction. Because I do find that work stress is often treated, and I'm not undermining, I really want to say again that I'm not undermining work stress. I'm really not, because I know that some of you really work in these high pressured jobs. So it's not to take away from that. There is often those internal things going on, right? That's why you worry or you feel like an imposter. And I just think that we're realizing that those feelings aren't just about these work tasks. They can help you put the proper things that you need in place about these deeper patterns, about how we can begin to work on them, how we can begin to change our anxious thoughts and our beliefs. And that itself can start to soothe our nervous systems and create a sense of safety and give us the capacity to deal with these triggering situations. And unless we learn to manage the feelings that come with imperfections or possibly failing or conflict or not being chosen at work, whatever it is that drives your fear, it can keep impacting your well-being and your work-life balance and your relationships. Of course, you may already have put into place some practical changes to reduce the work stress. That might be that you're creating boundaries around your deadlines, around, how many hours you're going to work, you're prioritizing certain tasks, you're not rereading every email. But if the worry is reoccurring, it can be really useful for you to pause and to reflect on what is really being woken up inside of you. With this persistent anxiety, you've put things into place that may have had some positive effect, but you're still feeling the intense distress. And as we've pointed out, that's maybe a signal that there's an old part of yourself or a wound that's being activated. And so we're starting to give your anxiety a bit more understanding, a bit more acknowledgement, connecting with it and communicating with it a bit more. Okay, so there's something really being woken up here. And in short, what we want to do is we want to start to really look into that. The trigger is a really good sign that something needs our attention. Now, recognizing this isn't going to just make the worry disappear, but it can help you to see it differently and understand why it feels so persistent and difficult to control. Now, some of you will have felt like you've tried everything, and I'm going to give you a prompt to help you over the next week or so to really reflect on what might be going on for you. So the next time you feel anxious about work, or you're triggered at work or outside of work, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what do I feel threatened by right now? And what old fear or belief is waking up? I want you to recognize under the surface, what is this really waking up? What am I really afraid of? If I'm late, if I don't meet that deadline, if I say no, if I say yes, what is it that I'm afraid will happen? Simply noticing these patterns can be the first step towards understanding your worry in a deeper, more compassionate way. And ask yourself regularly, and you will likely discover what's really happening for you, what old wounds are really waking up. And then you will get to decide whether this is about self-help or whether you need professional help. Subscribe to Lessons in Self-Worth if you've taken anything from this. I would love that exchange of energy. Leave a comment or review to share your experience, and check the links to work with me or join our free supportive community. Every step that you take is progress, and I will be right back here soon.